All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Have you ever looked at one of your emails or maybe an essay and thought, man, this just doesn't sound sophisticated? Well, you're not alone. The secret to sounding more mature, logical, and professional in English actually isn't about using massive vocabulary words or crazy grammar. It's literally all about how you connect your ideas. That's what we're tackling today, why mastering advanced connectors is basically the ultimate hack for your communication. Just look at this comparison right here. It perfectly illustrates our starting point. We're talking about replacing one tiny, hardworking, but, let's be honest, kind of basic word, but. Upgrading it can instantly elevate your writing from a simple B1 level to a highly persuasive C1 level. I mean, saying it is nice, but it is expensive, that just communicates a simple fact, right? But saying, although expensive, it is a worthwhile investment, now that communicates a strategic, considered opinion. It's a game changer.
So, here's our agenda for today. We're going to look at 1. The problem with but, 2. Why connectors sound professional, 3. Mastering the although family, 4. The despite trap, 5. Upgrading your contrast words, and finally, number 6. The syntax secret. Let's get right into it.
All right, section 1. The problem with but, or escaping the basic language trap. We're starting at level 1 to expose a common pain point that is definitely holding back your professional tone right now, probably without you even realizing it. Look, but is a perfectly loyal, hardworking word, right? But, irony intended, overusing it actually traps you. When you rely solely on it, you lock yourself into this repetitive, kind of simple style that completely fails to showcase your cognitive depth. It creates these choppy stop-and-go sentences. And honestly, it signals to a reader, or an examiner if you're taking a test, that you might be stuck at an intermediate level. It just limits the flexibility of how you can organize a complex thought.
Moving on to section 2, why connectors sound professional and the anatomy of an argument. Let's level up here and look at the actual linguistic mechanics. Like, why does replacing basic words make you sound so much more articulate? It all comes down to understanding what you are actually doing when you join two conflicting ideas.
Well, it comes down to a massive distinction between two entirely different concepts, contrast and concession. Now, simply pointing out differences like saying, hey, one car is red and the other is blue, that's just contrast. There's no logical hierarchy there. But concession, that is when you strategically admit or concede an idea that limits your main point just to show you thought of all the angles. You're basically building a balanced, fair argument. I absolutely love this quote from English 2. Contrast structures comparison, while concession structures argument. It hits the nail on the head. It proves these words are not just, boring grammar rules to memorize. They are powerful discourse strategies. When you use concessive connectors, you're doing the exact same kind of high-level structuring used in corporate boardrooms, legal briefs, and academic essays. And to really prove how vital this is, check out this academic research by linguist Irina Holkova. She analyzed the introductions of professional academic texts and found a staggering difference. Professional writers rely heavily on concessive connectors, 19 occurrences in her sample, right at the very beginning of their texts to introduce complex competing ideas. Meanwhile, words showing pure result or inference, 0 occurrences in those same introductions. Zilch. Concession is literally how the pros set the stage.
Okay, section 3, mastering the although family, or navigating tone and register. Let's dive into our first specific tool set to help you structure those professional arguments, the incredibly versatile although family.
This table is essentially your ultimate cheat sheet. Notice how you can completely pivot your tone just by choosing the right variation. Although gives you a clear, neutral, maybe slightly formal tone. Though, on the other hand, is much more conversational and flexible. And then you have even though. That's your heavy hitter. It's emphatic, it's strong, and you use it when you want to really highlight a surprising contrast.
And this brings us to the ultimate conversational secret that native speakers use all the time. Because though is so flexible, you can just drop it right at the very end of your sentence. It casually takes on the exact same meaning as however. I mean, you can't say, the music was good although. That sounds weird, but you absolutely can say, the music was good though. It instantly makes you sound relaxed, fluent, and totally natural.
But hey, don't let that casual trick fool you. In highly formal situations, think medical reports or academic papers, you can pair these exact same words with reduced in clauses. For example, though getting stronger, the patient is unwell. By removing the subject and the verb is, you compress the information. Actually, it makes you sound incredibly academic and precise. All right, let's jump to section 4, the despite trap,
avoiding common grammar pitfalls. We need to tackle a notorious trap that regularly catches test takers and even seasoned professionals totally off guard.
The visual here is striking because there is one massive, super common mistake made with these words. You absolutely cannot follow despite with a full subject and verb. Despite he was tired is 100% incorrect. Now, our brains naturally want to construct the sentence that way because it mirrors how we use although, but you've got to resist that urge.
So, the crucial point here is that despite and in spite of require entirely different structural scaffolding to remain grammatically correct. Once you choose one of those phrases, you must immediately follow it with a noun, a pronoun, or an ing verb. Despite the rain, despite feeling tired, never ever a full clause. Memorize this sequence and you will instantly sound way more polished.
Section 5. Upgrading your contrast words and expanding your professional vocabulary. Now that we've cleared up that trap, let's stock your vocabulary arsenal with some even more precise weapons of contrast and move beyond the basics.
Just look at the sheer variety of tools at your disposal here. You use however when you need a hard stop to connect two completely separate sentences. You use whereas when you want to directly contrast two different people or things in the exact same breath. And, I love this one, you can deploy much as a highly formal, incredibly elegant alternative to even though. Like, much as I enjoyed the presentation, I have some concerns. It sounds brilliant, right?
And finally, Section 6, the syntax secret, deep linguistic structure. For our final level up, we are going deep into the academic weeds to see how these words physically alter your thoughts in a syntax tree. There is some truly fascinating research from linguist Gunnar Lund that reveals something incredible. Although and even though aren't just simple synonyms, they actually attach at completely different heights within the syntactic structure, like the invisible tree of your sentences. Because even though attaches lower down, it interacts differently with the subject of your sentence, creating unique grammatical environments called exempt anaphora that literally change how pronouns map to subjects in our brains. Mind-blowing, right?
And this illustrates the deepest secret of all. By using these advanced connectors, you aren't just doing grammar. You are managing complex epistemic conflicts. As the research notes, you're signaling a clash between human belief, the conclusions we naturally draw, and reality itself. You are acting as a guide, leading your listener through a highly sophisticated maze of logic.
As My Lingua Academy perfectly summarizes, small words, big difference. Mastering these tiny, seemingly insignificant linking devices will fundamentally transform your professional image. They are literally the glue that holds high-level critical thinking together.
So, as you head back to your inbox, or maybe write your next report or prepare for an exam, I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. Which basic, repetitive word are you going to eliminate today to level up your language? Challenge yourself. Try dropping a whereas or an even though into your next conversation. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and happy writing!